So let me tell you what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the things, well, some of the things from Baby Lock Tech. And we have a new foot, a new accessory, and we have a new machine. And for those of you that have the Ovation and Triumph, it's probably not going to be of interest to you, but it's of huge interest to people that are perhaps thinking of upgrading from a serger to a combo machine. And so I want to show it to you because when you first look at it, you think one thing and then you discover. So let me go to my slideshow, and here it is. It's called the Splendor. And if you look at it, it does look similar to the Accolade and the Evolution, but it has a huge difference to it. So there it is. And we're going to also look at the compensating foot that's new out. So let's go to the next slide. They actually released a new sewing machine, the Anthem. Um, and if you have the reflection, make sure it's fully upgraded, and a new 10 needle machine and this new serger. So yeah, some fun things at Baby Lock Tech. So let's have a look at this machine because, as I say, it looks similar. So it does have one of those things, I can never quite remember the name of it because I don't use it. It's a knee lift. Okay, I don't use it because I end up falling off my seat. I'm very coordinated apart from using a knee lift. So it comes with a trim bin, which not all the machines do, and it has push button threading, so much the same as the other machines. It is a serger and a cover stitch machine, so what we call a combo machine. It will do serger stitches and it will do cover stitches, which is great. But what makes it different to the Accolade and the Evolution and all those machines is it has 2 inches to the right of the foot. Now, those other machines didn't have that kind of distance. Having the 2 inches makes it a whole lot easier for doing cover stitch hems, which is a lot of what you do with cover stitch. So that's a big bonus, but this is the huge bonus. This machine now takes the big binders, so the knit woven binders, the new fabric guide, everything that you use on the Triumph and Ovation. So that is pretty cool, don't you think? Now, if there's one thing this machine doesn't have, and I'm okay with it, but some people will miss it, and that is wave stitch. But I think the huge point about this machine, and I'll come back round and talk to you. Why I love the fact they brought this machine out is it's not as expensive as the Ovation and Triumph, so it puts a combo machine in the price range of people that are perhaps moving up from a serger, or younger people that do perhaps a lot of garment making, t-shirts and things. And so they had that with the Evolution and Accolade, but they never had that additional space that allowed them to use the big accessories like the knit woven binders and the hem guide. So it's really made a huge difference to this machine. So I just wanted to make that everybody aware of that because I think when you see it, you don't realize it. Um, so I'll look out for any questions on that. But it is a really good machine. It is a complete upgrade from the Evolution and the Accolade because it has that bigger space and it can now use all those great big binders. And you know what I say about binders? You know, if you're going to have these expensive combo machines and cover stitch machines, use the attachments because they make everything so much more professional. And of all the things that I absolutely love, it is the knit woven binders. And I just want to say that some of you will say to me, but we have a double fold bias binder for the smaller machines. It's not the same as the knit woven. Okay, the knit woven can go round curves. When I would use this, I would use it if I was going to do something like binder placemat or something like that. But where I generally use it a lot is on bindings on the neck of t-shirts because it goes around curves. So I just wanted to bring that in because I think it makes a huge difference to everything, the fact that it can use those. So do I have any questions on that? Hey, Wanda. So yeah, that is the new Splendor. I'm sure it's in your stores now. It comes as a package, I'm sure. I can't remember what's in it, but remember to get the big binders to go with it. And also the fabric guide. And I have that on the machine, so I can show it to you in a minute. In the old days, they did have a fabric guide, but it wasn't a very, they had to use this small one because there wasn't enough room on the table to put the bigger ones on. But now they've added that 2 inches. That's the old one. And now you have that great big sliding ruler one that you can use on this machine. So I was kind of excited about that. So let's see what else they came out with. Let's go back to the slideshow. So that was that. Did I miss anything? Oh, I did. I did want to go over this because I think people don't quite understand it. But when you open the front of the Applaud or the new Splendor, you'll see QR codes. And if you scan them onto your phone, they will bring up threading videos for you. So how cool is that? In actual fact, this is very much going to be the way things go in the future. So, this is going to bring up videos to help you thread. And also sometimes it will be the manual because people always hate they don't get a paper manual, but with upgrades on machines, it's kind of easier to have them online because they sometimes change them. And you know how thick those books are. So this QR code, let me tell you how to do it. You pick up your mobile phone, you select your camera, you put the camera lens over this QR code so it's all in the photo or picture or screen, and it will automatically come up with a website. And you click on that website that's with that address that's on your phone, and it will take you to where all the videos are on how to thread and stuff. So super easy and a great addition, I think, to the way things are going with machines. And I think you'll see a lot more of it in the future. So this is a new one. Look, we have a new trim bin. And do you see the black section on the back? I'll actually put mine on when I come to show you what I've got. Just let me. So yeah, it's a new trim bin and it is what they call low profile. So I put it on my machine. I'll show it to you when I put my other camera on. It's low profile, so you can clearly still see the length dial and everything, and it does a great job. So, and this will fit the Ovation Triumph, obviously the new Splendor, and it's very nice. So I'll show it to you when I get onto the camera thing. So let me see if I can get it on there now. So you just line it up. Yeah, got it. So here it is, and it slots in to where your needle. Remember that thing where your needle's supposed to fall if you drop it in the machine? It's never actually happened to me that it's landed on there, but that is magnetic and it's for the needle. And you basically slide it in. There you go. And it just clicks in. So I really like that bin. I like the fact that it's not really high. I like the fact that I can still see all my dials. And here you'll see that is the ruler I was talking about that you can now use on the Splendor. It's the new fabric guide. And I will put the notes of this into the group because I know a lot of you will be looking for numbers. And I have all the numbers written down on that. So this is the fabric guide and it will also fit the Splendor because it's got that extra room now. So what else do we have? We have, let's have a look. Let's go back to that one. Oh, no, that's my serger session Club 3. Let me have a look. I should have information on the compensation foot. Did I miss it out? Looks like I did. Right, well, I'll tell you about it then. Looks like I missed out the big news on the new foot. So a while ago, I said to Baby Lock, not that I think I made a huge difference, but it's just to show you how much I like this foot. I said to them I thought it would be great to have this foot in our lineup, and it is called the compensation foot. So what does it do? Well, if you look at it, it has two sides to it, and it's hinged. So the left side can go up and the right side could go down. In other words, it can go over different thicknesses on each side of the foot. And you might say, well, why would I want to do that? But actually, there's quite a good reason. So let me show you some things I have done with it. Well, let me explain why I so love it. This is where I use it the most. This is a t-shirt I made a while ago. And if you look at it, it has quite a thick seam because this is a serged band. So it's doubled and it has stitching on and it is facing down on the t-shirt. Okay. So and that band always flips up, doesn't it? So the best thing you can do is top stitch it. Top stitch it. So here it is. There's my band and there's my where I want to stitch. And where I want to stitch, you will be going through 1, 2, 3 layers of fabric as against three layers of fabric plus stitching and just 2 layers here. So when my foot goes along, it's kind of crooked, you know, it kind of goes like that. And it gives me an unstable base. But with this foot being hinged, it goes along and it can go up on one side and down on the other and never move in the middle. So I hope that makes sense. So it really helps when you're sewing over thicknesses on one side and not the other. So I have here, this is another fine example. So I've done this piece of orange and I just serged the edges together. And then what I want to do was what we so often do. I wanted to top stitch it. So I'm going to hold it up. And can you see there? So when I did the top stitching, this is a knit. So when I put my foot on there, let me come around to this other camera because I think I can show it to you better. So when I put my foot on here and I started stitching, one side of the foot was on the really thick edge and one side was completely off. But the fact that it can go up and down, it can cope with it. So I managed to have it stitched all the way along without any problem with it being thicker on one side where the foot was than it was on the other. So a big deal. So do I have any questions on that? Okay, I'm going to look at questions now. So let me come back. So let's have a look. Would you straddle? Could you straddle a seam? You could. I've lost my picture. There you go. Yes, you could straddle a seam. Does the new foot go up and down, front to back, and when approaching a seam? That is a really good question. And I spent some time working on that this morning because I knew it would be a question. And it's a good one. So it has a spring at the front left, front right, back left, and back right. But it's still a straight line. So I thought, well, how well will it go over seams? Because, you know, we always have that slight thing when going over seams, which really is down to us being proactive and lifting our foot and doing all the right things. So I tried it over them, and I think it was an improvement. I don't think I kept any of my pieces of fabric, but I didn't really want to advertise it as that because I don't have any proof of it. But I think it's worth trying. But it's really designed to sew on a thick piece of fabric and a thinner piece of fabric. So let's talk about a hem. So say we're doing a hem on a t-shirt. You know, we always say, this is the hem, okay? There's the hem at the bottom and there's the stitching there. And you can see that I have overstitched the edge of my knit. And you know, we always say, yeah, that's really great on wovens, but not so recommended on knits because the foot is going over a double piece of fabric and a single piece of fabric, and you sometimes get a little bit of instability there. But this foot, because it goes up and down a bit, you can do that. So I mean, it's just a great foot for that. So I used it for hemming where I covered the raw edge of my knit, and I used it for top stitching on a thick seam, which quite often people do, and it's just not going to fall off the edge or become uneven. So let's have a look. I have my foot set up here, and I honestly can't remember what I know what I was going to do with it. I was going to show you how great it is for sewing around a neck, because that is where I really think it cannot be surpassed. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to set up my other camera, and whoops, I just have to take the screws out of my fabric guide. I just wanted to show you that too. And remember, that can now be used on the new serger, not the Accolade, not the Evolution, but the, can't remember. It'll come to me. I keep wanting to call it the Symphony, and I know it's not. Right. So I'll just take this off, and I'm going to show you how I deal with a neckband. I came in late. Sorry, what is the name and number of that foot? It is the compensation foot. And if you look at the notes for this, which I haven't yet put up, but I will put up immediately I finished, it has the number in there. And I say that because I didn't get it in a box. I got given it. So I can't look it up. Right, so I have my fabric guide off. I'm going to move my camera slightly. I think that will give you a good enough picture of it. Oh, no, it won't, because I have to move around that way. Right. So I'm going to go over to the other camera, and I'm going to use the compensation foot. So here it is. So just let me get set up. So you'll see this is the front of the foot, and you can see it has notches. So that's going to tell me where my needles are going to be. I'm actually threaded up for cover stitch wide. So here we are, got my foot on. And what it's going to allow me to do is sew on a thicker area. Is that good enough for my camera? I wonder. I haven't got my long one because I'm working over the other side of the room. I'm not going to sew the whole way around. But so there you are. There is my neckline. It's super thick here, and it's fairly thin in the band, okay? So I'm actually going to start it ahead of my big, thick, because once I get to the shoulder, of course, you're talking even more thickness. So I can line it up by looking at the notches on the feet. And as I said, I'm using the wide stitch. So I'm going to put it down there. I'm going to make sure that and I would give this a really good press. And this isn't going to match the colors aren't going to match my top, but it doesn't matter because you know how easy it is to undo. And I might in time go around and do it in a better color. So I'm using the front of the foot as my guide, and I am just sewing round. It really is very well behaved. Although this is new to Baby Lock, I have had this for a while, so I know how great it is. So I won't do a million miles because you're just watching me stitch, but you can see the advantage of it. This side of the foot is on a really thin area. Whoops, a daisy. Hang on 1 second. Pen, don't move. Hang on 1 second. I've got my. It's all right. Hang on. Don't worry. Oh, pen got caught up in my light flex. She was good. She didn't bolt. She just stood there. Right. So this side of the foot is on the thinner side, and this side is on a thick side. And at times it's really thick when you start talking about the shoulder and everything. And see how it just copes with it. It just goes up and down and behaves. And I'm using the notches on the front to guide me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop now because I haven't used the right color thread, and then I can show it to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend I'm coming off in the round because it's always just as easy. So I'm going to raise my needles, raise my foot. I'm going to bring out some ease, and then I'm going to swipe it under the foot above the garment, cut it, and just pull back. And what that does is I'm just coming off and it takes my threads to the back. But you see how nicely that's stitched? I actually ended up stitching in the ditch there. Let's go back here where I perhaps didn't. Here we are. See? You just get a really nice finish. It doesn't give you any grief. It's gone over the big thick bit here. So I cannot recommend that foot enough. As I say, I did ask Baby Lock to bring it out because I really felt it would make stitching a lot easier for everybody, because that is a place where it was a problem. So let me have a look and see if I have any other questions. So I have both right and left bi-level feet. Is this like having both built into one foot? Huh. Well, it's certainly both in one foot in this case. So if you're using it on the cover stitch, I'm assuming it would work on the euphoria. Absolutely. It will work on the euphoria. It will work on the applaud. Remember, with the applaud, you are going to use your regular snap-on foot. So yes, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It works on the 8-thread sergers, all the 8-thread sergers, absolutely. And also on the applaud and the euphoria and the symphony, which is an 8-thread serger, so that would make sense. My local shop said it's coming in next week or be under the new tariff pricing. I don't think it's hugely expensive, so don't let that put you off. Which machines will that foot work on? I have the Triumph, Applaud, and Evolution. It will work on all 3 of your machines. Okay. Yeah, Lynn says it looks like this foot is a must-have foot. It's a great foot. You know, if I'm going to sew around a neckline, I would never use any other foot. No other foot would do it as well as that foot. And as I say, when you're top stitching, a lot of people like to top stitch on their machines. You know, do a seam and then top stitch with a cover stitch. So yes, so that's what I wanted to bring you and show you. And that was it for the sergers. So we have the new bin, we have the compensation foot, and we have the new Splendor. And I do think the Splendor has a great place in the range because not everybody can afford the Triumph and Ovations, and this comes in between, and it's a great next step up. Plus, if you travel a lot, it's a lot smaller to carry around. It doesn't have the wave stitch, but it has the ability to do everything other than that the big machines do. So pretty cool. And what else did I have to say? I have to say that 25th of September sees the start of the online Serger Club. So let me just put a slide up on that, just to remind you what it is. So let's go that way. Oh, I did put the compensating foot up. There you go. I did have it. So yeah, this is the compensating foot. It has springs in the front and back, and it allows you to go over uneven fabric. It's basically a good way to put it. And for me, the most obvious time is top stitching a neckband. So session 3 of the online Serger Club starts on the 25th. of September. You don't have to do it at the same time as us. You can watch the recordings. But I just want to let you know, only people sometimes say to me, well, I didn't know you were doing it. But it's 2 hours a month, and we just make a project or a few projects, whatever. And it's just a commitment to learn your machine and to have some fun. So I put that up there, and you can find that on my website, debcallumstudio.com. And other than that, I think that's all I had to bring to you today. I do have some sewing stuff that was new from Tech. I might include that in the next one. My next live will be 2 weeks yesterday, so it'll be on the Monday in 2 weeks. So, do I have any other questions? And sorry I was late. You know, it's always a new challenge for me. I think, "Oh, I've mastered it now," and then something else comes up. So, but I think I've got it. I don't know what the problem was. If you keep pressing buttons, it'll work eventually. That's what I say. So, yeah, so you all have a super week, and I will be back in 2 weeks yesterday on the Monday, and we will have a look at some other sewing stuff. And if you've got any questions, you can always email me. If you've asked me any questions and I haven't answered them, I will go back through the questions. I'm going to turn it into a YouTube, so eventually we'll lose those questions because, you know, Facebook, I don't know if Facebook's actually taking videos down these days. I think maybe it isn't. I don't know, but we'll see. So we'll see how long it lasts. Which machine will that foot work on? I've done that one. So yeah, it's just going through the questions, just making sure I haven't missed any. So yeah, I will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for joining me today. Have a great week or two.